I never imagined I'd have to comfort a child through the loss of a parent, let alone my own stepson. When I married James, I knew he had a son from his first marriage, a quiet boy named Tyler who loved puzzles and baseball. He was 8 years old when I first met him, and though he was slow to warm up to me, I understood. I wasn't his mother. I didn't want to replace her. I just wanted to be there, in whatever way he'd let me. James was the kind of father people admired. He worked hard at his job as a building inspector, but never missed a game, never forgot a birthday, and made pancakes every Saturday morning with a goofy apron that read, "Grill Sergeant." He and Tyler had a bond that I respected deeply. Even as I married James and built a life with him, I never wanted to intrude on that. Then came the car accident. James had gone out on a rainy afternoon to check on a construction site after reports of flooding. I begged him to wait until the next day, but he smiled, kissed my forehead and said, "It'll take 20 minutes tops." He never came home. The call came at 5:47 p.m. A truck lost control on the slick road and hit James' car head-on. The doctors said it was instant. He hadn't suffered. But we did. I sat Tyler down that evening. He was in the living room, building a model airplane with his usual quiet concentration. When I told him, the glue bottle in his hand dropped to the carpet. "No," he whispered. "No, you're lying." I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. I reached for him, but he pulled back, ran to his room and slammed the door. The days after that were a blur. Funeral arrangements, calls from relatives, casseroles arriving in pairs, everyone saying how sorry they were. But Tyler hardly spoke. He sat on the stairs during the service, staring at his father's picture like he expected him to walk through the door any moment. At night, I'd hear him cry into his pillow. Sometimes I'd sit outside his door, just to make sure he wasn't alone. I didn't force him to talk. I just wanted him to know I was there. It wasn't easy. I was grieving too. James had been my partner, my love, my anchor. Losing him felt like losing a part of myself. But Tyler had lost even more. He'd lost the only parent who had been a constant in his life. A week after the funeral, I found Tyler in the garage, sitting in his dad's truck. "He used to let me honk the horn when we parked," he said quietly. I sat down on the step near the truck and looked at him. "I remember that," I replied softly. "He'd laugh every time." Tyler looked at me, his face pale and eyes red. "Is it okay if I miss him?" My heart broke a little more. Of course. I miss him every second. We can miss him together. From that moment on, something shifted. Tyler didn't talk a lot, but he didn't shut me out anymore. We started eating meals together again. I packed his lunch and left little notes inside. Some days, he'd respond with a doodle on a napkin. It was small, but it meant the world. The school counselor suggested a grief group for children who had lost a parent. Tyler was hesitant at first, but after I told him we could try just one session, he agreed. The group met every Thursday evening in a quiet room at the community center. At first, Tyler sat with his arms crossed, barely looking at anyone. But when another boy talked about how he kept hearing his dad's voice when he was alone, Tyler's posture softened. After the session, he didn't say much, but I noticed he seemed lighter. He asked if we could go again the following week. Healing isn't linear. There were days Tyler refused to get out of bed. There were nights he had nightmares and came knocking on my door, too ashamed to say why. I let him lie on the couch in my room, never pushing, never prying. One day, a month after James' death, I asked Tyler if he wanted to go to the park where his dad used to take him. He shrugged. "Okay." We brought a picnic, just peanut butter sandwiches and apple slices, and sat by the baseball field. Tyler watched a group of boys throwing a ball back and forth. "He was gonna teach me how to pitch this summer," Tyler mumbled. I nodded. He told me he was excited. "He said you were gonna be better than he ever was." Tyler smiled for the first time in weeks. He was really bad at pitching. We both laughed, and for that moment, it felt like James was right there with us, smiling through the wind. The next day, Tyler asked if we could play catch in the yard. I wasn't very good, but I did my best. We threw the ball back and forth until the sun dipped below the trees. That evening, he went to bed without crying. Over the months that followed, we developed routines. Saturday mornings became our special time. We didn't try to recreate James' pancake tradition, but we made French toast instead. Tyler started helping me in the kitchen, learning how to crack eggs and measure flour. He started doing better in school. His teachers said he smiled more, made friends again. We talked about James more often. Sometimes Tyler would bring up a memory, like how his dad once tried to build a treehouse and fell off the ladder. Sometimes he asked questions. What was his favorite movie? Did he ever cry? Did he love me? I answered everything honestly. I never pretended things were perfect, but I made sure Tyler knew how deeply his dad loved him. One day, after soccer practice, Tyler sat next to me in the car and said, "Do you think Dad would be proud of me?" I held his hand and looked him in the eyes. Tyler, he'd be more than proud. He'd be amazed. That night, Tyler came into the kitchen while I was making dinner. "Can I call you Mom?" he asked. Tears welled in my eyes. I had never expected that. Never even hoped. I walked over and hugged him tightly. "If you want to," I whispered. "I'd be honored." We never forgot James. We couldn't. He was a part of both of us, woven into every memory, every smile. But in our grief, we found something unexpected, a new kind of family, stitched together by loss, yes, but also by love, patience, and quiet resilience. A year after James passed, Tyler stood in front of his class at a memorial writing contest and read a letter titled, "To the Man Who Taught Me How to Be Brave." In it, he wrote about his dad, and me. About how even though he lost one parent, he didn't lose love. About how I stayed, even when it was hard. About how healing takes time, but it's possible. I sat in the back of the classroom that day, holding a tissue, my heart full. Tyler caught my eye when he finished reading and smiled. It was the kind of smile his father used to give. Confident, warm, a little shy. In that moment, I knew James would have been proud. And so was I. Tyler still misses his father. So do I. But now we talk about him openly, celebrating his life instead of drowning in the loss. We visit his grave on birthdays, leave flowers and little paper airplanes. We keep his memory alive, not as a source of sadness, but as a reminder of the love he gave. Grief never leaves completely. It changes, softens, becomes something you carry with you. But love, real love, can grow even in its shadow.